Second thing that we recruiters run into, and not the apples for apples experience, where the candidates can say, well, sure, I haven't done that, but I can. But make in your resume some proof of that.
I think we're good. All right. All right, Jim, how you doing?
Good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, welcome. I appreciate very much you accepting the invitation, and as you and I exchanged a few messages through LinkedIn, obviously the goal here is to help those that I describe, the unemployed, underemployed, or those that are trying to figure out what to do next, either through a career change, concern about potentially being underemployed or unemployed, particularly now in the middle of the coronavirus. So I appreciate your insights, because I think you are one of those perfect individuals that is a recruiter, is in the business of finding people jobs. So I appreciate your accepting the invitation and joining me here.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Glad to help.
So we have Jim McGuffin. Jim is managing director of HireWell. Is it fair to say that it's a search firm?
Yeah, HireWell is a retained search firm that has 5 different verticals, one of which is real estate and construction, which I oversee.
Okay. So your primary focus is real estate, but what are some of the other industries that you also do searches for?
Well, we consider real estate to be a wide envelope, wide umbrella rather. We do searches in the multifamily space, all the niche classes within there. We do searches within industrial, retail, office, the construction space, and also the capital markets space within that as well.
Okay. So part of the premise of this podcast is not only getting to know you and getting your insights, but it's almost like we're going to put our hats on as if we were those individuals looking for jobs, right? Looking to make a career change. So some of it is going to be based on your experience. Some of it is going to be your opinions as to what we should be doing. So let's just get started right there.
Sure.
So here we are in the middle of coronavirus, a huge impact. Can you tell us a little bit about the impact on you and your search firm?
Sure. Let's go back to 4 weeks ago, before the calamity hit. We were active, as most search firms were, in the real estate industry as a whole across the board. We were busy in construction and development roles, executive and C-suite roles, asset management roles, capital markets. Everything was uniformly busy, and really uniformly busy across all those asset classes that I mentioned a minute ago. Then, around the middle of March, as the virus started to creep into the States and started in New York and came across the country, I think that our firm is representative to the market as a whole, where immediately our executive level searches, which were about 25% of our search load at the C-suite or equivalent, all went on hold within a matter of days. It was almost uniform, all of our clients calling us, putting those on hold. Then roughly a week later, all of our what I refer to as mid-senior strategic positions also went on hold. And what we were left with for about the last 3 weeks or so till today, largely is the operational roles, project management, property management, asset management. Now, interlaid in there, the silver lining is accounting roles are active. Data or information technology roles are active as well. Not so much at the executive level, but mid-senior level. We have some of those, and the industry has some of those open as well.
Okay. So when you consider now, the environment, right? In school, they teach you about a SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So, what are some of the opportunities that you see out there in terms of industries that are hiring?
Sure, you're bringing back to my business school days here. Thank you very much for your question.
Just the other day, right?
That's right. Well, longer than I'd like to remember. The industries that are active right now are industrial, transportation or supply chain related, life sciences, e-commerce. Those industries and sectors are busy right now.
hmm hmm So, obviously, you've seen a decrease. So, tell me a little bit about, as you go through this impact, you yourself and the search firm that you work for, what do you do?
Well, we're blessed with having a diverse client
hmm
base,
hmm
and my firm and the firm that I work with, Hirewell, we by design service the entire spectrum of search. So right now, me and my team, we're busy with property management roles, as I mentioned, project management roles. Our operational lower tier, we're busy with that. What also makes us unique as a search firm is we're dedicated to not only helping client companies, but client candidates. And we have a cornerstone of our business is helping those individuals who are in a position to seek a new role. We help them as well. So we're busy helping individuals, and we're both busy helping organizations as well.
Tell me a little bit of what it looks like in terms of helping individuals.
Sure. Here again, our client base there mirrors the industry as a whole. We work with CFOs, those in the accounting and finance vertical, development people, high-level executive operation, and mid-senior candidates as well. That really mirrors our work with those people, mirrors what we're seeing in the industry as a whole. We have demand for our finance and accounting executives. We have demand for some of our operational people, especially if they're in those asset classes we mentioned, and they have a background of helping distressed assets. They're problem solvers by trade.
hmm
Those clients of ours on the candidate side, a lot of demand for those people. The folks that are more growth oriented, working with development or acquisitions, our clients there have to have some patience, maybe more patience than we would all like in this
Yeah,
environment.
yeah. So obviously, as a person that focuses on finding that match between the employer that you're representing and the individual that you are finding, tell me a little bit about the search that you guys undergo. What are some of the things that you do in terms of finding potential candidates to match to those employers?
Sure, sure. My team and I, we are focused on real estate and have been for the better part of almost 10 years now. So we're very, very proud of our network and our ability to reach into our network. So every time we begin a search, we can first look in our internal network. Who do we know? Who's been referred to us? And we communicate by way of email to our database very quickly. That way we can have a very efficient outreach.
hmm
The second step of what we do is we communicate our searches confidentially, but in broad scope to the sector. That yields us a lot of direct hits in communicating to potential potential candidates
hmm
and a referral network. Someone may say, "Hey, that's not me," but somewhere along the line, I worked with that person. You should talk to Jane or Joe Smith about this role. And then we do what other search firms do is we'll start looking at professional networking sites like LinkedIn. We'll go to websites directly. What gives us an advantage in doing that is that we are dedicated real estate recruiters. My team and I, this is not something we're moonlighting at or part-time. So it gives us the knowledge and the ability to very quickly assess a match in a skill set match in the job description, as well as the culture of the company we're looking for.
hmm
And then we put those pieces together really with that three-step process.
So here I am, right, putting the hat myself of somebody unemployed, underemployed, just looking to make a change. And, I go to LinkedIn, I look at jobs. I go to companies that I know and I apply. The challenge that many job seekers are facing today, and it's even higher now because of the amount of people unemployed, is being seen. You are applying to a job that dozens, if not hundreds, of people are applying. Um, what insights or what recommendations would you have for someone that is going that route, that they're starting the route of looking at jobs online? They don't have a search firm like you. They're just doing the down and dirty applying online. Any thoughts, recommendations?
Every job search from the candidate perspective needs to start with a compelling resume. Your resume is your front door. It is your first impression. And as the cliche goes, you never get a second chance to make it.
Yep. Yep.
So before a job search starts, you get a resume. And you may have multiple versions of that resume depending on what specific job you're applying for, because they'll have skills and history, work history that you need to accentuate. Mm-hmm. So any good job search starts with a compelling resume. Then what you need is a practice on the interviewing. So I would say to a specific candidate, maybe do some dry interviews with friends, family, especially during this quarantine time. If you're home with family, go on LinkedIn, find a job description online for any job you're interested in. You can download those for free. They're right there. And have a family member or a friend give you a dry run mock interview where they look at your resume, they look at the job description, they ask you key questions about the role, and you basically answer them in a mock, friendly environment. Because every interviewer, myself included in my career, whenever an interview is concluded, whether you're walking home or driving home or walking out of the office, you have that oh gosh moment. I wish I would have answered the question that way.
Yeah.
I think it was my strength. So those are the first steps. Preparation, like painting a house. Preparation is key. Then when you actually start to be comfortable in looking, you look online. Again, especially in this quarantine era, you look online. The sites I recommend, far and away, LinkedIn is number one. Mm-hmm. Tied for second and third in no particular order is Select Leaders or Indeed. Then there are a distant grouping, especially in my industry, ZipRecruiter, Monster, etc. There are other sites you can use, but those are the big three as I refer to them, with LinkedIn being far and away. Look for positions in your sector, in your geographic region. Play with the job titles a little bit. There may be a job title that you've always called yourself, but the industry may call you something different. Mm-hmm. So play with the job title and then do queries based on your geography and your job title and start to build a search list. That's the first step. Then the second step is start to look at people in the company that you're either first connections with or second connections with. Build your LinkedIn network. I always refer to my network as my LinkedIn army, much to the chagrin and probably dismay of my coworkers when I repeatedly say, you got to build your LinkedIn army. It's a great tool. Yeah. And be able to connect with them. So when you apply for a job, certainly go in the front door, follow the procedure that the company wants, put that application in, but then follow up with the first or second connection or someone warm and approach them and say, hey, I've applied for this position. Do you know who the hiring manager may be? Who should I speak with? And most of us, have that extended network, first degree, second degree separation with friendly faces within an organization who can help you along the way. That's the second step that I would follow.
So, I have a lot of contacts in hospitality, and part of the people that I'm talking to from hospitality, part of me is recommending to them, it may be time for you to reinvent yourself, retool, and perhaps even consider a different industry. Have you had any experience, or do you have any recommendations for someone that is looking to make a change, let's say at a mid-level, not at an entry level, not at a senior level?
Sure. Hospitality is certainly, in the real estate space, one of those threatened asset classes now, along with office. But hospitality is threat. I would say for anyone looking to make a switch between industries, find those skill sets that are attributable and transferable to both. In real estate, I think you can equate hospitality to multifamily in the fact that you're still doing customer service, you're still doing operations, you're dealing with the facility. Now, while it's certainly not an apples for apples transition, there's enough there that a hospitality person could, say in property management, clean their resume up, edit it to show what skills are transferable between the both. And here again, I go back to what we talked about 5 minutes ago. Go and look at some property management job descriptions on LinkedIn. You can cut and paste them and download them for free. And then look at where are looking at the SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
Where do I have experience doing a skill like that? Where am I weak in something that a hospitality property manager may do that I didn't do in hospitality, multifamily hospitality? Look at the strengths and the weaknesses, and then transfer your resume to address those and make that compelling as you're cross-sector applying.
So, recruiters are an interesting breed, and I've been on that side. Although my main function has been HR, I've done recruiting as part of my roles, and I've always associated or related recruiting to dating, because it's the whole idea of getting to know someone. Do you like him or not? Do I want to go into a second date? Maybe an in-person interview after a phone interview. And I always think that, recruiters are humans. If you get your resume in the hands of a recruiter, what are some of the things that you hear recruiters, what are the turnoffs for recruiters?
Biggest turnoff is probably job hopping,
Yeah.
job instability.
Yeah.
So when you go to resume writing, make sure you're not over accentuating multiple job hops. That's the first. Second thing that we recruiters run into is let's say again, not the apples for apples experience, where the candidates can say, well, sure, I haven't done that, but I can, and I can learn. Well, that's all well and good that you say that, but make in your resume and make in your interviewing some proof of that.
Yeah.
Let's say go back and compare those job descriptions and look at what's required for that job and be able to speak to exactly why can you do that? What did you do in your previous positions that were close enough to the mark that you give confidence to the recruiter that you in fact can, other than saying, I'm a quick learner, I'm a quick study, which we hear some.
I've heard it a few times. Have you done this? No, but I can do it. I'm sure you can, but I'm looking for someone that has done it, right? And that's the issue, that in many instances you're competing against people that probably have done it, and to stand out between so many people, it's really hard. And I don't know if it was better when you had to apply in person, right, and go through that process, but we're not there anymore. We have moved on. Now it's technology. I'm not too familiar with some of the practices out there regarding application tools where you submit applications, the system pre-screens your resume for keywords and see how much of a match it is out there. Have you had any experience with any of those?
Yeah, we have. Our CRM certainly does that, and I'm aware, particularly on that second splintered side of my business where I'm helping individuals write their resumes and prepare for a job search. One of the things I do is make sure that all those keywords for jobs that you're interested in are in your resume somewhere, preferably in your competency section so it can be quickly digested.
Yep.
But if not, again, I feel like I keep going back to this, use those job descriptions as a cheat sheet or an answer guide. If you see keywords in there that the job requires, make sure they're in your resume. So when you do file a resume electronically, apply electronically, that the resume reader will pick up those keywords. Same thing for, and allow me to expand. Same thing for people's LinkedIn page.
Mm-hmm.
Recruiters like myself, have the technology through a LinkedIn application to search by keyword for any candidate. So
Mm-hmm.
have those keywords in your LinkedIn page as well, so recruiters like me can find you both actively through your application to them and passively on your LinkedIn page so you can be discovered.
So, in which area of the LinkedIn profile do you know where those are put? I mean, obviously within the actual jobs. I know that there's a skills section, but it is ensuring that basically your resume, the job history that you are adding in LinkedIn has those keywords.
Well, a couple of places you can do that. One, in your work history job description,
Mm-hmm.
verbs as to what your responsibilities were. So sometimes those keywords are in there. But if you just don't have the opportunity to put them in there, perhaps it's a software or a specific skill set, in your section above on your LinkedIn page where you have your picture and basically the title of your page, they give you a space to write a bio on yourself. And you
Uh-huh.
can write in that bio keywords, or underneath the bio, if you want in bullet points, put in a core competency section so they can see what skills you have. And again, that's a great passive tool for recruiters like me or internal HR recruiters on the company side to find you.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned that you are helping individuals, and that's actually how you and I connected because you saw that I was posting and offering help. So tell me a little bit about the people that are reaching out to you. What are some of the common threats you are finding as you help them?
Right. Well, historically, let's go before the last 4 weeks and during the last 4 weeks because they're two different worlds, as we
Oh
mentioned.
wow.
Um, Prior to a month ago, we were getting a lot of attention from individuals who are either job seeking, but frankly too busy to pay attention to it or to devote to it,
Yeah.
and those people who are employed.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then the other half of people who would reach out to me were already between positions. Lovingly, I refer to them as free agents, and they were looking for a position, and time was very urgent to them in terms of how many weeks or months do we want this to take,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the first half of my client base, which was how many hours in a day do I have to devote to this. Now, in the last, and I would say prior to 4 weeks ago, we had a real parity. I said the market was imbalanced, job seekers, job opportunities. Obviously, over the last 4 weeks, with the level of furloughs and laid off employees that we've seen, we have an imbalance. We have the talent and we have jobs. So the percentage of folks reaching out to me now, it's at least 75% to I've been laid off, I've been furloughed, or I've been in conference calls the last few weeks where they're scaring me. They're starting to lay the groundwork that it's um, inevitable, if not at least likely.
Mm-hmm.
So those are what I would say the overly concerned job seeker. I'm not really getting attention anymore from those proactive job seekers who are employed. The rule that I've seen, and this actually goes to the main side of my business where I do retained search for the company, is the people who are currently employed are skittish.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, their attitude is, I'm not upsetting the apple cart now. I'm going to stay in this job I have. A month ago, I was willing to explore. Now, I don't think elective job changes are a good idea for me or my family. Let me just stay here for a while. So I'm no longer getting the outreach from the job seeker who wants to be employed until the next position. I'm getting what I would call the distressed job seeker
Got it.
knocking on my door for help, which is fine. I'm glad to help.
So if we were to define a plan based on your experience as a recruiter finding people jobs, we talked a little bit about a resume, and certainly
Mhm.
that being the starting point, matching that resume to what the jobs are looking for. I always tell my I'm actually going through the application process right now for my son and my daughter, and they have to write essays for college and for, in this case, for my son. I'm trying to see if I can change him from schools, and they have to write an essay. And in typical fashion, they write an essay that they like. And I go, listen, it's a wonderful essay for you. The question is, does it touch the reader? Because at the end of the day, just like a resume, you can think is the most wonderful resume in the world, but it is the person that is reading it that has to think that. So
that's
right.
Yeah.
Because at the at the end of the day, if I take it back to dating, I can really like that woman, right? I can really like her, but if she doesn't like me, I don't get a second date. I don't even get a first date. So I say that I'm in the business of getting people to be liked by others. And I know that the word like, people don't like it because, I want to be respected. Listen, it's not about being respected or being it's about them paying attention to you. And I know that the resume is the starting point and matching it appropriately. But what else can I do to ensure that the person reading it, that the person listening to me, be it through an interview in person or a phone interview, what else can I do? What is part of my plan?
Well, I laughed when you were going through that summation because I have this conversation weekly, if not daily, with candidates, client candidates. Mm-hmm. And I tell them this process is not about creating the best John Doe. The market doesn't care about the best John Doe. The process, both with the resume and your interview packaging of yourself, is to make the best John Doe for the job. So when I counsel people on resume writing, I tell them the purpose of this is not to make the best version of yourself. The purpose is to have you meet that job that you're trying to chase down. Mm-hmm. So we go back to the resume writing and looking at those job descriptions, looking at what required for the job, and it's like your kid's writing the essay. It's very well and good that you can do A, B, and C, but if the job is focused on D, E, and F, then the resume better go D, E, F.
That's right.
Right. And I just reminded myself of my high school GPA there, so I had a bad flashback with the D, E, F. I digress. And the same thing is in interviewing, right? One of the things I tell my clients is we'll get you in the door with our process, but you got to close that interview. Mm-hmm. So when I interview coach people, same thing. I prepare them. It is not about you being the best John Doe in the interview. It's about you being the best SVP of asset management in the interview.
Got it.
Or the best SVP of development in the interview.
Got it.
So it's training for people to pull back what they think the best version of themselves is, and instead broadcast the best candidate for that job. Because we're all trained our whole lives to think about what am I best at, what interests me, and that's what I want to talk about.
Yes.
It's comfortable to talk about your strengths and not necessarily, not a weakness, but just not what is your main push. I train and I advise people to match the opportunity. And it all goes back to the beginning of the conversation is what should a candidate do first? Your homework. Look at the job, look at the opportunity, see what's needed, and then figure out how am I going to package myself for that opportunity.
For that. This is very important because I don't want people to get hung up on this idea, but I want to be myself. I want a job that allows me to be me. I said, look, that's a given. At the end of the day, if they give you the job, if they offer you the job, you ultimately have the say to say if you want it or not. But you want to get to that position of being able to make the decision. So it's not about you ignoring who you are. It's about saying, here's what they're looking for. Here's who I am. Can I make a connection between the two to get the job offer? And then at the end of the day, if I don't want it, I don't take it. But if you get caught up in this idea, but I just need to put my best foot forward. These are my strengths. Take it or leave it. Well, chances are they're going to leave it. They're not going to take it. So if you're in the business of taking, then you put your best foot forward on that match. And like you said, certainly part of that is that interview. So It is not about what you can sell. It's about what you can sell that connects with what they're looking for.
Exactly. Exactly. Next time I need reinforcement with the client, I'm going to call you up and have you help me.
Yeah,
Have you what I say.
listen.
Exactly right.
I think it's hard because people want to be themselves. People want to be. They don't want to be fake. They don't want to be something that they can't or they don't want. But at the end of the day, this idea of matching the job to you versus you to the job, right? That's the problem. When you try to match yourself to the job, maybe you are taking it to an extent where you are not being who you are. But if you take the job and you say, what is it that they're looking for that I can offer? And then make sure that your resume says that. Your cover letter, if you're sending a cover letter. By the way, cover letters, do you
Man,
huh?
and what I found is the audience isn't receptive to them. Now, I do coach people to be able to write about themselves, resume along,
I'm
or
sorry,
reaching
Jim.
out to an executive about an opportunity.
You broke. Hold on, Jim. You broke up for a moment. You were saying that you do coach him. That you're not a fan of cover letters, but you coach him to do what?
To have an introductory paragraph written, 4, maybe 5 sentences maximum, that capture the very essence of who you are, and say it in a paragraph.
Yeah.
Cover letters I don't like. Most of the time, I think that they get cast aside. I don't like them.
Yeah.
I don't like them. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't like them.
I'm gonna put a poll
like
and see an intro paragraph.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a poll to see how many people actually read cover letters. I mean, I have to admit, like you, I don't pay attention to cover letters. I go directly to the resume.
Right. I probably in any given day get, at least 50 resumes sent to me at any given workday, maybe more. And if they have a cover letter, I don't have the time. I just scroll through them and get to the resume to figure out what are we looking at.
So talk to me a little bit of your method of looking at a resume, right? More or less, how much time do you spend on a resume? Where does your eyes tend to gravitate towards?
Well, I process things chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
What I like to do is I like to look at a resume and track the person's career. So depending on where they put education, bottom or top, I like to start there because then I can see the flow and the progression through what roles they've had and lead me up from what I tell my clients from the beginning of time, which is, the beginning of your career, if you went to a university or did not, but from the beginning of time till now is how I look at a resume. To see what the flow was, see if we had job hops, see if there was a natural progression. What you don't want to see is, I'll make my hand gesture, titles going up, then a down, then an up. I want to see a title flow and responsibility and size and scope that is sensical.
Got it.
So I like to resume that way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe digest it chronologically reverse.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go from the beginning of time till today. And then, of course, I'm looking at certifications. I'm looking at, if it's a type of job that has an associated project list. I want to know what project list, portfolios, size and scope, and I'm in real estate, specific properties or locations in the country. So I give it a glance through chronologically. Then I go and look for those hard facts of what has the person, managed or built, developed or acquired, so I can get a sense real quickly. And I have it down to to a 1-minute process that I can pretty quickly say yes or no, which is really more time than a resume gets.
That's right.
All the studies I've read is 8 to 10 seconds.
Very short.
Because I try to be more thorough, but
yeah.
But it's a process.
Yeah. What about things like formatting, font size, font type? Do you pay attention to any of those things?
Yeah, maybe it's my personality, but I'm always most comfortable with the cut to the chase resume. I don't like, resumes with information scattered about in different areas. I like the facts, and I like it in the straight and narrow. Now, resumes I found to also be job type specific, right? An accountant is going to write a resume like an accountant.
Yeah.
A marketing person is going to write it like a marketing person. And I do, 5, maybe 10% max of my searches are in marketing. And those resumes have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Not the way I write resumes, but I understand that's the niche. So the way I'm most comfortable with resumes being written and being read is chronological, fact-based, again, jobs in order, not bouncing around. So I guess you can almost say highly compelling but highly boring. I mean, I like them to be facts.
Got it.
That helps do my.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good. So again, put in the hat. We're doing a search. We're trying to find employment. We talked a little bit about resume. We talked a little bit about, preparing for those job interviews and ensuring that we are trying to address the needs of the job. Because at the end of the day, it's about what are they looking for, what are they needing, and what can I highlight about me related to that job. What else would you recommend? People obviously talk about networking. How do you network today when you're not able to go to meetings, right? How do you network?
Sure. Again, emailing is the best tool to begin any job search. That's always the first place to start. So I would recommend everybody look into their personal network. And, for most people, there's probably 20 to 30 individuals that they've worked with, done business for, or alongside that they know and they like and they trust and they feel they're in their corner. Reach out to those people. Send them your current resume. Include that intro paragraph. Don't scare them with the cover letter, but an intro paragraph, 4 to 5 sentences deep, talking about who you are, what you've done, to what size and scope and location have you done it, maybe who are the partners and who are the stakeholders that you've worked with, and a sentence basically saying what you're looking for, right? If you put in an email, so again, that 8 to 10 second rule, you can make your job quest very digestible to the individual and not scare them away from helping you. If you send War and Peace in an email, the recipient may say, I really want to help John Doe here, but man, I don't have all day to read this.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah.
And then you basically end with a request for help. Do you know of any opportunities? Is there anyone you can connect me with? Make it a soft sell, but direct. Ask for help.
Yeah, I see a lot of postings. I saw a couple of them that were posting that, they were laid off, and, I decided to reach out to them. I didn't know these individuals. I saw their posting and I said, hey, if you need help, let me know. But is it your experience that there's a little bit of pride and insecurity in reaching out and making that outreach to people? Because, man, I don't want to ask for help. I don't want to bother other people. What has been your experience?
Yeah, there certainly is, and I think it's unnecessary, to have that level of pride associated with the search, because all we need to do is put ourselves in someone else's shoes. And for most of us, if someone came to us in our network, professional or personal network, and asked for help, we'd help where we could. Most of us,
yeah.
not all.
Yeah.
Well, I think all you need to do is say, what would I do if someone came to me and asked for assistance? I would help where I could. I would pass it along. So I think folks need to be not so worrisome about that. And also, right now, we're all going through this together, right? Everyone is hurting to some level. Everyone has insecurities to some level and doesn't know what the future holds. And I think in this time, people like, I saw your reach out on LinkedIn offering to help. I made a similar reach out to help. And I think the mentality for most people now isn't necessarily to be self-serving or to try to make, a buck off of whatever's going on. I think you're finding that charitable spirit. So it's a good time to ask for help. I know that's been my attitude and the attitude of others that I know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that this is actually, there's a period of time where people are going to be more forgiving forgiving is actually this period when you reach out to people where they're not going to be perhaps as judgmental about the fact that maybe you were not in touch previously, or you haven't reached out in a long time. Perhaps they reached out to you in the past and now you never responded, and now you have to reach out to them. I think people are going to be a little bit more forgiving. Certainly, people will have to make a judgment as to whom they're reaching out to, what type of relationship do they have, what type of level of comfort they have with those individuals. But it is time to reach out. It is time to say, hey, I need some help. And I agree with you that that people are going to be more willing to help in this environment that they would be otherwise if the environment was different. So, here we are almost last few minutes. Any other thoughts, any other recommendations that you can make to the job seeker out there?
Yep. Very simply, keep your chin up. Have a positive attitude. Things are scary now, but it won't last forever. We've seen the unemployment applications now go over 26 million in the last 5 weeks, which are numbers that a month ago wouldn't be in our worst nightmares. But the baseline fundamentals of the economy prior to the virus were strong. And we were going off of a 10-year cycle of growth. We'll get back there again. It won't last forever. Now, there will be change. There will be jobs that were prominent and in demand a month ago that frankly won't be anymore. There's going to be changes, but with change comes opportunity. And there's going to be jobs that were not in demand a month ago that 3 months from now, there's going to need a lot of people doing it. So be flexible, be positive, and just keep trying, keep looking online for jobs every day, keep reaching out to your friends, and stay positive.
So, Jim, just to close, in terms of your company, Hire Well, and some of the searches that you're conducting, feel free right now to give your pitch, anything that you want to share about perhaps jobs that you're working on, the fact that you're offering yourself to help out. Go ahead. I'll give you the platform right now to just share whatever you want.
Let's talk real quick about what we have in inventory right now. We have project management and construction roles all the way up through the project executive space. And we have those nationally. West Coast, Midwest, here in Texas where I'm located, and over in the Southeast. We have property management roles in the industrial, in the retail, and in the multifamily space. We have property management roles, senior property management roles, director of property management roles, again, across the country. We have accounting roles at the mid-senior level. Senior accountants, accounting VPs, not an inventory, unfortunately, CFO, or I did 4 weeks ago, but not today. And those are basically the roles we have right now, and some asset management positions. I forgot about those. So that's what we have in inventory. What I'm willing to do and happy to do to help people, and I send some communications on LinkedIn, and then any of your listeners, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I post my activity and searches on there. I'm willing, and my staff is willing to take a half-hour phone call with any job seeker in the real estate space currently or wanting to get into the real estate space, where we will review your resume, talk about strategies, what we're seeing for you, just basically a help session.
Beautiful. Well, Jim, I appreciate very much your time. I certainly am glad that we connected. Thank you very much for offering your help. And look, as we go through this crisis, we're hoping that this type of podcast and some of the resources that we will be putting out there, Jim on his page, me on my page, and the many pages that are out there, that we will be able to help, a few people connect with the right people, with the right tools and resources, so that they can, as I say, retool for the environment and move from underemployed, unemployed, to fully employed, and particularly in an area that they're interested in. So, Jim, thank you very much. So I see in the background there, Cowboys and Texas.
It's not easy being a Cowboys fan. Not easy.
Well, the good news is that they're not playing, so you are right now undefeated.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Hope springs eternal.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time. I'll see you on LinkedIn and we'll connect later.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You're well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.